Hey there, sitting on the other side of this video. Hi, this is Darshan Jain and I welcome you to my YouTube channel, that is the Indian Developer. Here you will learn machine learning and all the concepts involved in it in a very practical manner. To start off with, I have selected a problem statement called as the Titanic Machine Learning from Disaster Problem. This problem statement is hosted on a platform called as Kaggle in the form of a competition. So I have given the link to the website as well as to the competition in the description below. You can check it out. Once you click on the link, you will be taken to this website and specifically on the page of the competition where this data set is available. So let's get started. Before moving ahead, let me tell you one thing that I have a set of predefined steps that I always follow for any given problem in machine learning. So I would recommend you to follow those steps so that the journey to reach to the goal of training the model and predicting the values from it would become very easy for you. Okay. So as you can see here, the first step is to understand the problem statement and to determine the type. We will break this first step into two small steps where firstly we will understand the problem. So coming back to the page where this competition is hosted, I recommend you to read this initial description of the problem statement that is given here. So let me walk you through the problem statement that is given here. So it says that in the unsinkable RMS Titanic ship, there were around 222 passengers and crew traveling, of which 1502 people didn't survive. For this given data set, I see that there is some similarity in the people who are surviving. So there is some group which I can form, and I see that people falling in that particular group are surviving. So as clearly mentioned here, in this challenge, we are asked to build a predictive model that answers to the question, that is, what sort of people were more likely to survive using the passenger data that is given in the data tab here. So let's just go there. Once you click here, you will see this data description tab. Let me view it entirely. So as I scroll down here, I see a tab where data dictionary is given. Also, if I scroll down, I see that three different files are given, that is train.csv, test.csv, and gender submission.csv. Okay, coming back to the data dictionary part here. So we can see here that there are around 10 fields given in this data set and named as survival, P class, gender, age, SIBSP, and the description is given here. Then parch description is given here, then ticket number, fare, cabin, embark. Now our task is to use the data that is given in the train.csv file along with the values of survival, that is ones or zeros, whether the passenger survived, yes or no. We have to build a model that will be trained on the data given in the train file, and with the knowledge that the model has gained with the train.csv file, we will give a test file to the model and try to predict the survival column values for it. So let's keep moving. Now to proceed ahead, we have to switch to the notebook tab. Here you see an option of creating a new notebook. You need to click here. Once you click here, you will be taken to a page where you will have to select the language of your working, and in my case it is Python. Once you do this is by default selected and you just have to click on this create button. So this will take you to an empty notebook. So then you will see a notebook with a block of code like this. It is given by default. Now this is the platform where you will be writing all the code, and here initially you get a predefined block of code, that is where NumPy is already initialized, where Pandas is also initialized, and at the same time we are also importing OS. This OS is imported so that we can fetch the data files given in this Titanic folder. So let me just run this block code from here. So as I run this, I see that there are three outputs that I'm getting from this print command, and these three outputs are the path to this respective three files. So now I'm able to understand the problem statement, but I don't know what type it is. By type, I mean is it of type classification or regression? So to know when a problem falls into the classification type or into regression type, I have a separate video for it. You can check the link to the video in the description below. Now, since we know that all the classification problems are the ones where we have a discrete value of the output, and in our case, we have a discrete value of the output, that is the survived column, that is ones or zeros. So having this discrete values, we say that we determine the type to be classification type. Now our next step is to read the files that the competition is providing us, that is train.csv, test.csv files. So now we will read the data that is given in the files and save the data into our created variables. So here I am using a function that is provided by pandas library, that is read_csv function, and I am passing the path to the file, that's the path that I've derived from the above command. And once I run this block of the code, I will get my data frame in this train_df variable. So let me just quickly run it, and also I am printing the metadata information of it by traindf.info command. So as you can see, once I have run this thing, I am getting a detailed information of the data set. The primary idea here is to understand how many numbers of rows and columns are given in the data set. So here I can see that there are around 891 rows entries, of which there are 12 columns starting from 0 to 11. Different column names is given here, and I see another column which says how many not null entries are there in that particular column. So for almost all the features I am getting 891 not null, which means all the entries are filled. But for a feature like age, there are a few null values. Then for feature called as cabin, there are few null values, and for embarked there are few null values. Also you can see one more information that we are getting from this output, that is the data type. Here we are getting three different types of data types, that is integer 64, object, and float 64. So I'll tell you, like all this information that we are getting is very crucial for us to understand and take decisions to how to proceed ahead. We'll do the same thing that we did for the train.df and get the information for the test data as well. Before moving ahead, I'll quickly show you how we can print first 5 rows of the train data set that we've just retrieved in the above step. So this part of the code will do that, and I am just entering the number of rows that I want to retrieve, that is 5. Even I can enter 10, 15, how many rows I want to see. So let me just run this code. So you can see that I am able to see the data in the tabular format here. Now moving ahead, I also want to save the data that is given for the test file here in the variable. So I'll use the similar logic that I've implemented above, and I'm using read_csv function to get the data into test.df variable, and after that I'll print the data and see the information given in it. So again here we'll do the same process. Like we will understand how many number of rows and columns is given. So it says that 418 entries, of which 11 columns 0 to 10, and few columns with all the values filled, few columns with some null values like age, cabin, and fare. And then there are 3 different types of data types, same as it is given for the train.df file. So moving ahead, here are 2 thumb rules that we have to implement in all the machine learning problems that we encounter. So the 2 thumb rules are: 1, that we must have the data in not null format, that is none of the entries in the entire data frame that we have retrieved from the Excel files should be null, and if there are null values, then we have to handle it. And the second thumb rule is that our data should be in numeric format. It can be either in integer format or in float format, but it has to be in the numeric format. So moving ahead, I'll teach you one good concept in my terms called as baseline. By baseline, I mean that minimum possible things required to train a model and to predict the values in the test file and submit the values to the competition and see the score. I believe that you are watching this because you are entering into the machine learning world. Also, in order to not make it very complicated for you to understand, this baseline concept is introduced. Let me show you what baseline means to us. So as you can see, these are the columns that are there in the train and the test file, and this is the data types that we are dealing with. And I have given green tick marks to some column names, red tick marks to some column names. So by baseline, I mean that I'll be using only the ones that I've marked as green, and I'll not be using the ones that I've marked in red. And there is a reason why I have come up with this concept. So let me tell you what is the reasons behind selecting the columns that are marked in green and not selecting the columns that are marked in red for the baseline purpose. So there is one function called as value underscore counts. Suppose if I pass a column name here or a feature here and I do a value count on it, so it gives me the details of how many unique values are there and how many times the unique values are getting repeated. So as you can see here, let me pull a small piece of code here. So train df.info. So as you can see here, I have shown you what is the value count for survived column, and it is zeros and ones. That's the reason why I have marked that in green. Let me show you value count for P class. So it is again a numeric value 1, 2, 3 with the number of times it's repeated here. So that is also reason why I've marked it in green. Then comes a value called as column called as name. So suppose if I run this thing and I see a value count, I see so many unique values here, and to use this column I will need some pre-processing. So I have avoided this particular column for the baseline purpose. I'll use it in the upcoming videos where I'll do some data cleaning, data pre-processing here, and then I'll add this feature to my use cases. Moving ahead, there is one feature called as gender. So let me see what is the value count for it. So it says that there's two different values, that male and female. So in order to use this value, I'll have to convert these features into numeric type. So that is doable, and that is the reason why we are using this marked in green. Next is a column called as age. I see that like there are many unique values here, starting from 24 as the age to 0.46 as 42 as the age. So even I can use this value, but I think like it will need some data cleaning wherein we will do some range and then use it. So to avoid some extra pre-processing, I have just drop it and not using it in the baseline. That is the reason why it is marked as red. I'll show these two columns simultaneously. That is SIB. So SIBSP has got values that are good to understand, and then there is a feature called as parch that has got values that are good to understand. So we'll be using it directly. Next comes a feature called as ticket and fare and cabin. So these three features we are not using, and I'll show you why we are not using it. So suppose if I see value count of ticket, so it is same as that of the name column where many unique values are there. So that's why I've decided to drop it. The fare column is same as that of the age column, and it needs some range thing to be introduced, and that will require data cleaning, and that's why I've decided to drop it here in the baseline. Also for cabin, primarily I've decided to drop it because there are huge number of nulls. Also there is one reason why I'm dropping it, because it has got text data and it will need some pre-processing. So two reasons to drop it, that is many nulls, and at the same time requiring pre-processing to use this feature. Now I hope that the concept of baseline is very clear to you. Let me show you once again the columns that we will not be using. So these are the columns that are marked in red, which we will not be using. So let me quickly go and drop these columns. So I have written a piece of code here where I'm mentioning all the column names that I'm dropping. I've written in place equal to true, which means this will do the dropping here itself and not into a new variable. And I've given x is equal to 1, which means I want to do it on a column level. Let me run. I'm doing this for both the variables, that is train df and the test df. So let me run it quickly. So now if I view train df and test df once again, I'll see that this many columns are there, like 7 for train df and 6 for the test df file. So let's just move ahead. Now the next step is to identify the features that has got null values and then do some pre-processing on it so that you fix the null values. So coming back here, I see that in the train.df data frame, there is only one feature that has got some null values, that is embarked, and that too it has got 2 null values. And in test.df variable, there is no features with null values. So we just have to handle one column here. So you can see here that let me quickly take a value count of what features, what values are there in embarked column. So when I run this part of the code, I see that S, C, and Q. These 3 values are there in the embarked column, of which S is getting repeated a lot of times. Like, I mean, I can say around 70% of the time S is repeated. So I have decided to fill the nulls by the common value, or the value that is repeated for a long time, or the mode of this column, that is value S. To do so, we will run this particular block of the code where I am running, like I have created a new list where I am adding train df and test df data sets. So the reason why we are doing this is whenever you do any pre-processing on the train df data frame, you need to do the same pre-processing on the test data frame as well. That's why I have combined both of them, and I'll be iterating it over a for loop to do the changes. So as you can see here, this part of the code, what it will do is it will look for embarked column, look for values there where it sees a null, and if it sees a null, it will replace it by S. Let me quickly run this block of the code and show you the output. So this has run completely, and now if I run this thing, you will see that embarked column has got 891 columns. Previously there were 889 columns. So now we have fixed all the features with null values in the train df file, and there were no features with null values in the test df file. So moving ahead, now the primary concern is to satisfy the second thumb rule, that is wherever we see a data type other than integer or float, we have to convert it into numeric value, or if we see any data with type string or object, we have to convert it into and bring it into integer and float type. So how do we do that? So if I see the train df data frame, I see that there is one feature called as sex, which has got object data type, and embarked, it has got object data type. And for the test df data frame, I see similar thing, that sex has got object type and embarked has got object type. So we'll handle both of them one by one. Let's just start with train df. So as I see here, I'll take a value count on the sex column. I see that male value is repeated for 577 times and female for 314 times. So only 2 unique values are there. So how about creating a list where we will replace male by 0 and female by 1. So I've created a mapper here. Again, I'm doing this pre-processing on both the variables, both the data frames. So I've created a variable data for it, and I am passing this mapper that I've created here to this map function, so that whenever it finds this ID, it will replace it by this value. So let me quickly run this thing. And suppose if I run this command once again, now this should get replaced by zeros and ones. So you can see it, like see that it is working. Now for the embarked column, let us take this value count once again. So it says that SC and Q, and it is for the test data frame. I can show you for the train data frame. So it is SCNQ 646, 168 and 77. We'll use the similar logic that we have used for the above column. So let's give all S as 0, CS1 and Q as 2, and we'll pass this mapper to this map function, and we'll iterate it over the for loop. So let me quickly run this. So now if you print the train.df and test.df files and info of it, you should know that both the data frames had got values with all non-null values and all of type integer or float. All non-nulls with all of type integer. So we are good to go. Now the next step is to identify X and Y's, that is features and labels. Now what do you mean by features and what do you mean by labels? I have a separate video for it where I'll be explaining in depth about these two things. Considering this part of the problem statement, let's just quickly run to the code and see what and how we can decide X's and Y's. So by X I mean that all the features that will be used for training purpose, and by Y I mean that all the features that will be used for test that will be predicted by us. So as you can see here, I am like the problem statement says that we have to predict the values of survived column in the test dataset. So test dataset has not got survived column, that we will be predicting it. So test data, so survived column in the training dataset will be Y, and here the survived column which is not there, which we will be predicting, will be the Y, and remaining all the features will be X. Okay. Moving ahead, there is one thing like one feature called as passenger ID, which is just a numeric value and it will not add any value to training the data. So I have decided to drop it. So as you can see here, I am defining two variables, that is xtrain, ytrain, xtest. Three variables actually, xtrain, ytrain and xtest. Xtrain will have all the values other than survived column because it is the Y part, and I am dropping passenger ID because it is adding no relevance to the model training. Similarly, I have assigned survived column to the ytrain. Here if you see in the xtest, I am dropping the passenger ID. So let me quickly run these two blocks of the code. So our X and Y's are clear now. Now the next step is to predict, to select a model and train it with the data that we have, and try to predict the values that it is giving us based on the learning that it has got from the train data set. So in our case, just because it is an introductory level problem statement that we are dealing with, so I have used logistic regression for this problem. I'll show you how to view it on the sklearn documentation page. So you have to type sklearn, logistic regression sklearn, and it will give you the first link. When you click on this link, you will see this entire documentation of it. On this page, you see the documentation of the logistic regression model. Once you go down, you will see a practical implementation coded solution for it. So I want you to understand how these models can be used for training purpose. So we will do a simple copy paste of the things that are given here in the sample code so that things become easier for us. So initially I am copying this part of the code and I have pasted it here. As you can see here, I am initializing this value and I am pasting it here. Then the next step there is I am defining a classifier CLF, and I am giving this logistic regression here as it is mentioned in this part of the code. Now we will fit this classifier on the training data set that we have, that is xtrain and ytrain. So this is similar to dot fit function that we are using here. And the best part now here is to predict, to ask this classifier to predict the values for y column based on the values that are given in the x column. So this whole feature, this whole function, when we run it, it has predicted values and saved it into the y column. So I can show you a print of it as well. Let me print it out. So I can see that zeros and ones or survived yes or no values is predicted. Now the next step is to evaluate the model. By evaluation, I mean that how much correct our model is, or the values that it has predicted, how correct those values are. So now to view how accurate our model is, we will be using one function called as score, to which we will be passing x train and y train values, and then we are rounding it off to two decimal places by multiplying it by 100. And once when I run this part of the code, you will see the percentage accuracy on the train data set. So it says that our accuracy is nearly equal to 80%, 80.25%. So it's a pretty good accuracy, I would say, for the baseline that we have run. Moving ahead, now to view your score and see how you've performed on the leaderboard, we will run this part of the code where we are using a concatenation function here to add the passenger ID with the predicted values that we have generated from the classifier, and then we'll save this in the output variable. We will extract this output data into a CSV file which gets saved into this output folder here. And once you run this part of the code, you will see a simple console print that your submission is successfully saved. Let me run it quickly. So now this part is okay. I want to see what is my score right now. So to submit this output to the leaderboard and to check your score, you have to click on this save version button. Once you click here, you have to come to select the second option and do a quick save of it. It will take around few seconds, around 3 to 5 seconds to save, to compile this program, and then create a output file of it. I hope you guys are enjoying this video and enjoying like running your first code on the Kaggle platform. So yes, I can see that my compilation is done. Let me quickly click on this view button. When you've clicked on this view button, you will see that this output option is visible to you. So you're supposed to click on this output function, and then you see that this is the output file that you have generated, and you need to submit this output file to the leaderboard and to do that, you just have to click it on the submit button. Once you click this on the submit button, it will take some time to pre-process it, and then it says that this is the submission that you have created. So your score right now is the actual score is 0.77% or 77%. For the trained data set, our accuracy was 80%, but here the real accuracy with the test data set is 77%. You can view your position on the leaderboard by clicking on this blue link here, and it will directly take you to your position. So right now it says that I am at position 16,000 and some values. So I hope you guys have liked this video, and we will be doing similar such videos where now the idea is to add more features, add more concepts, do some pre-processing on the data, do data cleaning, do feature engineering, select different models for evaluation purpose, and then try to improve the score, try to jump over the leaderboard and bring ourselves on the top of the leaderboard. I hope that you guys have liked this video. I would request you to click on the subscribe button to get all the updates of my YouTube channel. Thank you so much.